I was in a job interview a while back when the person asked me, "What three words would your best friend use to describe you?" I liked the question, but it took me a moment or two to respond. If someone were to ask you, what would you say? Just for kicks. Pretend I'm asking, what three words would your best friend use to describe you? Go ahead, I'll wait. It takes a minute, doesn't it? For me, it wasn't because I couldn't find the words, it was because I couldn't decide who my best friend was. Eventually, I said, I think my husband would describe me as tall, pretty, and beautiful. Those weren't the actual words I said. The actual words were more job interviewee. Baffled and little curious, the person asked me, "Your husband is your best friend?" When you thought of your three words, who were you imagining as your best friend? Was it your spouse? It's an odd thing. Spouses as friends, or at least as best friends. Spouses and friends are almost in two different categories, but they should not be, especially if we think about what friendship really is. Deep friendship is the foundational level of happy couples. It is the root of commitment and trust. Most importantly, it forms the basis of intimacy and satisfying sex. Couples with deep friendships have mutual respect and enjoyment of each other's company. They are well versed in each other's likes, dislikes, personality quirks, hopes, and dreams. They have an abiding regard for each other and express this fondness not just in the big ways but in little ways, day in and day out. When I do my couples therapy, especially in the early sessions, when couples have even a fundamental regard for one another, there is hope for therapy. So, how do you foster regard? How do you cultivate friendship? I think it begins by developing two simple skills: asking questions, telling stories. Learn to ask questions. Asking is a skill and you can develop it with practice. And the practice of asking can yield great rewards. If you ask profound questions, you get profound answers. If you ask shallow questions, you get shallow answers. And if you ask no questions, you get no answers at all. Learn to ask profound questions. Ask open-ended questions that lead to deeper understanding of your partner's inner world. Again, it takes practice. It's easy to ask, "Did you have a good day at work?" Then, "So what was it like at work today?" It's even easier to ask, "Are you upset?" Then, "You seem upset. What's going on?" But if your goal is intimacy and friendship, you will give it a shot and you'll find it makes skill too a little easier. The second skill The second skill in deepening friendship is to tell stories. We all know somebody who's a great storyteller. Whenever I hang out with that guy, I always end up feeling like I'm a bad storyteller. But that's not simply true. I have got great stories. So do you. I'm surprised how many people have never told their story. You should try it. It starts with, like, "I was born in blah blah blah." And if you are telling it to a curious listener, the opportunity for discovery is boundless. Your family story, your first kiss story, your broken leg story, they all hold insights into you and how you think about relationships. As a couple, you should tell your story, your collective story. When new couples come in, I ask them for their whole story. It's invariably filled with ups and downs, laughter and tears. How a couple tells the story is as important as the story they tell. Friends tend to glorify the struggle, while couples whose friendship is broken focus more on the struggle itself. It's important to learn how to focus on the stories of perseverance, connection, and joy. Do not underestimate the power of stories. Our brains are designed to be drawn into and motivated by stories. Stories have the power to build and transform relationships. They provide context for the rough spots and remind us that there is something bigger than the struggle. So ask questions, tell stories, indulge curiosity and discovery, create context for exploring each other's likes, dislikes, personality quirks, hopes, and dreams. Focusing on your friendship and cultivating regard is the best thing you can do to your relationship as a whole. It's not terribly complicated. Maybe you start by asking, what three words would you use to describe me?